Welcome to the Grail of Truth Bible Study. We are doing Leviticus, the book of Leviticus. We are in chapter 3, studying the ESV version online, English Standard Version. I have one of our fellow Bible studiers here, Sharon, with us. And we are going to be doing this Bible study every week. And if you want to participate, you can go ahead and leave a comment. Please like, subscribe below, and leave a comment. We'll let you know when the Bible studies take place live. And you can feel free to join in and do the Bible study along with us. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with Leviticus chapter 3, verse 1. If his offering is a sacrifice of peace offering, if he offers an animal from the herd, male or female, he shall offer it without blemish before the Lord. And he shall lay his hand on the head of his offering and kill it at the entrance of the tent of meeting. And Aaron's sons, the priests, shall throw the blood against the sides of the altar. And from the sacrifice of the peace offering, as a food offering to the Lord, he shall offer the fat covering the entrails and all the fat that is on the entrails. And the two kidneys with the fat that is on them at the loins and the long lobe of the liver he shall remove with the kidneys. Then Aaron's sons shall burn it on the altar on top of the burnt offering, which is on the wood on the fire. It is a food offering with a pleasing aroma to the Lord. If the offering for a sacrifice of peace offering to the Lord is an animal from the flock, male or female, he shall offer it without blemish. If he offers a lamb for his offering, then he shall offer it before the Lord. Lay his hand on the head of the offering and kill it in the front of the tent of meeting, and Aaron's son shall throw its blood against the sides of the altar. Then from the sacrifice of the peace offering he shall offer as a food offering to the Lord its fat. He shall remove the whole fat tail, cut off close to the backbone, and the fat that covers the entrails and all the fat that is on the entrails. And the two kidneys with the fat that is on them, and the loins and the long lobe of the liver, that he shall remove with the kidneys. And the priest shall burn it on and the priest shall burn it on the altar as a food offering to the Lord. It is if its offering is a goat, then he shall offer it before the Lord, and lay his hand on the head and kill it in front of the tent of meeting, and the sons of Aaron shall throw its blood against the sides of the altar. Then he shall offer from it as his offering for a food offering to the Lord, the fat covering the entrails and all the fat that is on the entrails. And the two kidneys with the fat that is on them at the loins and the long lobe of the liver, that he shall remove with the kidneys. And the priest shall burn them on the altar as a food offering with a pleasing aroma. All the fat is the Lord's. And it shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwelling places, that you eat neither fat nor blood. Okay. So, and actually that last part, that actually happens even today. Jewish, if you go into like a Jewish deli, they'll have something where they actually have to put salt with it to soak up the blood, because it's prohibited that they can eat any form of blood. So they cut away all the fat and the blood before they have any kind of eating of any kind of kosher food and so forth. And the same would apply true for the priests. They don't eat like the liver and the lobe and all that kind of stuff. It's the Levites. They usually end up eating the foods from the offerings, because that's how they get their food too. But the fat and the blood and so forth, that is for the Lord. And so what happens is when the people of Israel would bring these different types of offerings to God, be it a sin offering or whatever it would be, the smoke that would rise up from the altar, they say it's a pleasing aroma to God. But in modern day Judaism, they can't offer sacrifices anymore, because they're only allowed to offer, according to the Bible, they're only allowed to offer sacrifices at the place that God chose to place his name, which was Jerusalem. That was the capital and the temple. So because there's no temple anymore, they can't do any sacrifices outside the temple, and there is no temple, so they can't do sacrifices. So if someday in the future Israel and Judaism is able to rebuild a temple again, they'll be able to restart up sacrificial offerings, but they won't be they can't do it now. And so what they do now in place of offerings is, there's verses in the Bible that says that you can offer up a sacrifice of praise in place of that. So what they'll do is they'll do sacrifices of prayers and praise to the Lord, and these things ascend into heaven as a sacrifice of praise, kind of like the smoke that rises up from the altar and the incense and so forth is symbolic of the praises and the prayers of the people, God's people, floating up into heaven, because all these things are very, very symbolic. And so that's what these sacrifices kind of are entailing. In our modern version, our version of a sacrifice would be to offer up prayers and praises to God. That would be our version of the smoke ascending into heaven, except instead of smoke, it's our prayers and praise. So, Sharon, what does your summary say about this?
God tells Moses the description and instructions for peace offerings of cattle, sheep, and goats. The bit that is burned is the fat that covers the entrails, the kidneys, and the fat on them, and the fatty lobe attached to the liver. Fat or blood is not to be eaten.
Yep. And that the fat or blood not being eaten, that actually goes all the way back to Noah. That's not just like a Mosaic type covenant. That's actually a Noahide covenant, because originally when Noah was given permission to eat animals after he came off the ark, they were told you can't eat animals with blood with a life in it, because life is in the blood. So in other words, you can't eat a living animal. And any animal that eats a living animal, or any human that does that, that they would be under the death penalty. So that's one of the laws that actually originates all the way back to Noah. But there's some more caveats under Jewish tradition in the Mosaic law, where you actually have to remove any kind of blood out of the meat and so forth. So, and that's why they do that with the salt products. But so yeah, that's Leviticus chapter 3. Did you have any questions on that? Okay, so it's just a continuation of the explanation of the Levitical priesthood, how they would go about their practice of basically running the temple and the sacrificial system. So we appreciate you listening to the video, and we hope you'll check out the next chapter as we continue along in Leviticus chapter 4. And again, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as we continue to do the Grail of Truth Bible study. All right, thanks very much. Bye-bye.